Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode number 69 for the week of August 6th, 19.
Where's Omar now?
That's why we did this episode when he's not here. I almost said 19 something. It's actually 2012.
Yeah.
So I'm
What's the
going
date again?
back in time.
We are in the future.
August 6th.
August 6th.
Is that right?
After they restart numbering
So,
the years.
It's
Yes.
August 6th already?
After they do the Infinite Crisis.
It's incredible how much time flies when you're having fun. All right, we're going to talk about some comic book stuff today, but before we do that, let's introduce each other. Yes, let's introduce each other. This is Brock Sager. Brock, introduce someone.
This is Toby.
Toby,
Yay.
introduce someone.
This is Charlie one.
Charlie, introduce someone else.
And that's Ryan over there.
Excellent. Hey, it actually works. My word jumble became a fun exercise in remembering each other's names. So there we go.
Because we only stare at each other and hear each other's names every week.
Right. We've actually got a bunch of people on Twitter asking me questions and a bunch of stuff in our email, so let me hit up a few of these real quick.
Well, Ryan's t-shirt size is
exactly
large.
right.
No. Actually, like real questions.
Ryan wears size medium socks.
Medium socks.
Ryan wears black hats. Well, these are all my Twitter questions. I'm just answering
I
them.
wear black cats?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Black hats for Ryan.
Oh, black hats. I don't wear hats. I'm not a hat guy.
You are now. Since I answered this.
Why are we
guy.
talking about hats?
I don't know.
Well, here's a question from Lou. Lou asks, who would like to see take over Action Comics when Grant Morrison leaves?
Ooh.
As we all know, Grant Morrison's leaving Action Comics with issue 600, one of my favorite creators.
Jeff Johns.
That's too easy.
Too easy.
Yes, but I want Jeff Johns writing all the books.
I actually don't know who I would want to take over after Morrison.
Straczynski continuing his run on the one. Yeah.
I think you know, fool the swans.
Yeah. He never finishes his
Azzarello?
stuff.
No.
Azzarello?
He did
Not
that Superman run that
one of the
nobody
worst.
liked.
Yeah, great art, but no. Man, I have no idea.
Huh.
I'm gonna throw out Peter Tomasi.
Yeah, I'd go for it.
I want to see Tomasi. He's been doing some kick-ass stuff with Green Lantern for a few years. I want to see him do Superman. I think it would work. So, I got nothing else, though. Grant Morrison's such a singular creator that it's hard to have someone come in and replace him.
I'm just having trouble coming up with somebody that I think is really suited to writing Superman.
Yeah.
Other than Jeff Johns, who can write anything.
Mark Waid.
Well, yeah, but I'm trying to focus on people on the DC side of the fence at the moment.
Someone that would actually work for DC again?
Yeah.
Yeah, so not Mark Waid.
Alan Moore? Oh, wait, no, never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah,
Paul
we got
Dini. Bring in Paul Dini.
Has he ever done Superman stuff?
Superman the Animated Series?
But not in comic form.
But did he really write any of those?
Yeah, he wrote some of those.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Man, that might be a good call.
All right. There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lou.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. We got another one from
Great
Mike
question,
here.
horrible answers.
Yeah. Got another question here from Mike. He asks, where would you guys recommend starting Madame Mirage? Speaking of Paul Dini,
Yes.
Madame Mirage is a
Kenneth Rocafort.
a very short-lived series by Paul Dini.
Was it 6 or 7 issues?
6 issues, I think.
Yeah, with art by Kenneth Rocafort, who's done more recently the Red Hood book
Yes.
for DC. Fantastic artist.
Wait, what's the question?
Where do you start with Madame Mirage? There's
Madame-
there's one book,
Yeah.
right?
What do you mean where to start? I would suggest number 1.
See, wasn't he just wondering, did they mean Madame Mirage or maybe Madame
maybe
Xanadu?
Xanadu?
Or...
Oh, he says Madame Mirage. So yeah, with Mike, with Madame Mirage, you have one book to buy.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's it.
Madame Mirage.
It's actually a pretty awesome trade too.
Yeah, it's just
actually.
one-
I think there's some extra sketches on the back. It's a really lovely trade. So
Yeah, just-
go buy it.
just one collection. So you have a pretty easy answer there. So hopefully that answers your question.
Just me wondering if it's on the shelf.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we still got something. If you want to buy it through us, you can contact me, and I'll gladly mail you a copy. We do free shipping for orders over $25, and we like to throw in some free swag too if you
Yay.
order from us and you say you listen to the podcast. So
actually,
hint, hint.
the Madame Mirage is a fun book.
Yeah.
Beautiful art, fun story, just fun.
That was, 4 years ago?
Nah, not that much. Like 3,
I think
2.
it was about 4.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
Getting old.
We got a question here from Don, who's written us a few times. Acaleris on Twitter, I think that's how you pronounce it. Says, when will the new 52 simply be called 52? After the 0 issues, I think it'll never be called anything other than the new 52.
Yeah.
Just because...
Well, what if they relaunch?
then it'll be the new 104.
The new 52, and then the old
newer.
52. The old 52 and the new 52.
Yeah, because I think once you take off that new 52, you've admitted that it's, and plus it's already like 56. I mean they're increasing the number of books.
Yeah.
Well,
so
they're very coyly sort of. There's the 52 main core titles, and then they're coming up with ways to publish more books outside of the brand.
Like the National Comics one-shots and that Phantom Girl.
That Eternity one that just came out
that was awesome.
Yeah, and you guys like that. I haven't read it yet. All right, some quick hits here. But we got two questions that I think take a little more time. So let's do this.
Bring it on.
So one of them is actually a two-part question. The first part, though, we can answer pretty quick. This is from some guy named Jordan Feligli?
Just say Jordan P.
I'm going to say Jordan
Jordan.
Feligli. Is that how you pronounce it?
What's up, Jordan?
Hey, Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
Hey, this is actually Jordan.
I'm sure that Charlie hasn't talked to this Jordan in a long time.
This is Jordan Fidgley from Fidgley, right? I'm
just say Jordan P.
Am I pronouncing that properly?
Just say Fegley.
Fegley. I'm sorry. I had a J in there some way. Fegley from the Infinite Longbox. Good friend of the store, Charlie's friend, Charlie's co-host. He asks, and I think the answer is Brock. Did the panel? Oh, actually, not did is not who, but did we?
The answer is Brock.
So the answer is still probably Brock. Did the panel of co-hosts love first X-Men #1, or did they really, really love first X-Men #1? This is maybe the worst book I've seen Marvel publish in a while.
What are you guys talking about?
This is a miniseries that Marvel put out by Christos Gage, who's a fantastic writer. Unfortunately, art by Neil Adams, who at one time was a master of the industry.
Did I block this out of my memory?
It's on the shelf.
It came out last week.
Oh, no, that explains it.
But whose
idea.
current art is among the worst on the shelf.
Everything about that book was horrible.
Yeah, so this is a new book where they're trying to make a team of X-Men that existed before the X-Men. Now, this is, of course, before the new X-Men, which, of course, was predated by the middle new X-Men.
I got it. It'll be the first 52. Sorry, had to throw that in there.
So this is a team of X-Men before the new X-Men, but after the second X-Men that we didn't find out so much recently.
And this isn't Grant Morrison writing it?
No.
It's got to be outside of anything that resembles continuity from reading it. It just...
You read it?
Oh, I read it.
Oh, wow.
I read the crap out of it.
Nice.
And kept going, Wolverine should not look like a fucking caveman.
Wait. If you read the crap out of it, is it actually good now?
That's a good question. But no, Jordan. None of us read First Class X-Men #1 except for Charlie, and none of us liked it. So, but he actually asked a serious question. Sort of serious. Right. Which legendary creator still living would Brock most like to meet? Who do you want to meet, Brock?
Still living old creator?
No, not old or legendary creator. I would say that discount Grant Morrison or Jeff Johns or Brian Michael Bendis. I mean, those guys are legendary.
You're talking about the white-hairs,
in
right?
the current time.
Yeah.
But yeah, old school creator.
I guess Stanley.
And would you like to do it at an amusement park?
Yeah, I mean,
no more amusement park.
Stan's the easy answer. So, who else you got?
Well,
you don't really think too many.
Can I answer that one? Can I?
Sure.
I want Frank Miller, and I want a drink to butt fucking wasted to see what the fuck he's going to ramble
That'd
about.
Be fun.
Yeah, I think whatever he's going to ramble off, it's probably going to be a good one. Because was it me and you, Charlie? We went to a convention once where I think he was up on stage, and someone asked him a question about working with someone in a movie, and he answered just straight up. He was a douchebag. Next question. It was fucking awesome.
I think I was at the convention where he said that, but I wasn't at the...
Or he said something in that nature. I was like, he might be fun to have a few drinks with.
Yeah, Frank would be cool. Yeah. Stan. I bet Paul Levitt's already, so...
Yeah, Paul Levitt's cool. All right. Well, there is a kind of longer question here that
from Jordan.
No.
Like it's like the never-ending.
Well, there's two questions here, both by the same person. That I think we can use to talk about something here real quick. It's from Laura. She asks, as comic and video game fans, have you checked out Namco Bandai's webcomics, particularly Marv Wolfman's Time Crisis?
No.
And yes, my answer to that is no, and partially only because
we don't have it.
Well, no, they're webcomics. They're webcomics.
Oh, there are. Okay.
I just don't...
We really don't have them.
Well, yeah. But it's not just that. For me, I really don't read webcomics. I read... The extent I'll read Penny Arcade like once every 6 months and go through and just go back.
Well, I read the Firefox is the Fox Sisters.
Yeah,
and she writes like it's like a page a day or a page. No, it's a page a week.
Yeah.
So it's actually easier for me to not bother, and then like a month or 2 months down the line, I'm like, oh, cool, I got like a whole chunk to read. So yeah,
I read Our Value Customer.
I used to read a lot of webcomics, and that was at a job where I could just sit there and read webcomics all day.
Yeah.
So I haven't done that in a couple of years.
Well, I was going to say, because this is something that I think we've never really talked about on the podcast, and I think it's just because none of us do, is read webcomics. Now, ironically enough, and I don't know if I told you guys this yet, I know Brock knows. I think you guys saw this. I'm actually kind of sort of writing a webcomic that we're in the process of starting with my girlfriend, Leanne. If you listen to last week's Geekbox, she was on there. Sort of based off like the Geekbox kind of parody, kind of comedy, geek comedy, think Penny Arcade PvP, sort of somewhere in that range. That she's drawing, and I'm kind of co-writing it with her. We're not sure on the release schedule yet, just because we've got house stuff and she's got school and all this stuff, so it's going to be very slow to come out. But we're kind of getting started with it, and I realized in the course of this that I really don't read any webcomics. So, what about them? Because, Brock, I know you've gotten to Our Valued Customer recently, which is a pretty funny strip, but I just don't read it that often.
It's really easy to read if you have it like in your feed, because it just pops up and you read it, you're done. So it's really quick because it's only one panel.
But webcomics, to me, are the natural progression of the comic strips, like the Sunday comic strips and the daily strips, which I also never read. Mm-hmm. So did you guys ever read those? Mm-hmm. So you were really into that?
Oh,
Toby?
Yeah. I was big time into... of course, now that I'm on the spot, I probably can't recall it. There's one where Crocodile. I definitely read all the Peanuts. I read all the Garfield, all the Calvin and Hobbes. I thought there was one with Crocodile. I don't recall what it was, but...
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, do you? Yeah. And webcomic-wise, though, there was T-Club, which is done by a friend of mine, so she doesn't currently work on it anymore, but I think it's still archived up there somewhere. It's just called T-Club, which is about a tea-drinking bear, so it's kind of cool. Other than that, no, not so much, but yeah. I mean... so what was the one she was reading? It was Time Crisis?
Yeah, it's actually, I heard about this. It was written by Marv Wolfman. I think it's based on the Time Crisis video game.
That's the gun shooting one, right?
Right, mm-hmm. right.
Maybe I'll go check it out. Where is it? Do we know where it is?
It sounds to me like Namco
Bandai's website. So, yeah. But I think it's funny because, webcomics are becoming really big within the industry, but I find that few, if any. I know a few people that do, but very, very few comic collectors I know read webcomics at all.
Yeah, I think it's a different market. It's almost like, the indie guys, as much as they sometimes cross over, but, the indie guys don't really read the superhero comics, it's probably they're the ones more likely to read the webcomics too. And then I think it's, if you're into the webcomics, you read the webcomics. You probably won't read the Spider-Man that comes out, every month.
Right.
So it's
but even away from that, we got a fair amount of, indie comic people that come into the store.
Yeah.
We do good with plenty of the independent comics as well. But I almost don't see a huge crossover between that fan base either. I hear very few people talking. I know a few that are really, really into webcomics.
Yeah.
Michael Rodden, I'm talking to you. I know you're listening. But really limited compared to how many other people. And then I know so many people that are in the webcomics that would never step into a comic book store.
Yeah. No, the parallel to draw that on is like, DC's been putting like the digital only ones now too.
Right.
Does that go in the realm of webcomic? It kind
of
does.
Not.
I don't see people. I don't see those
No, it's not those
people.
guys, but the guys are at the store. Would they actually? I'm.
None of those. None of them read those either.
Yeah, but who reads those though?
The
totally different.
The webcomics are more your typical daily strip. I was really into Sluggy Freelance.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
And I really enjoyed Sluggy Freelance, and then it just kind of got to the point where I fell behind and then fell more behind and then caught up.
So you're not a Homestuck fan? You're not going out to the cons or anything like that? Okay. No, this is apparently the biggest webcomic ever, and never even heard about it till Fanime happened.
No, I actually heard Ryan. I mean, not Ryan. I heard Charlie talking about it quite a bit. Actually, now that you brought it up, thank you. Yeah. From our old Legend days.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it's just one of those things where, to me, like most things, it's about establishing a habit. If I'm in the habit of going to check Sluggy Freelance every day, I'll get to work, open up Sluggy Freelance, read the latest one, and if there ever is a day when I have a lot of time to kill at work and I'm looking for something quiet to distract myself, webcomics are great, but I just haven't really had that desire in the past few years.
Well, I think it's like for me when growing up, I never read like the weekly paper. So it was like if I read the comics in the newspaper, it was some random Calvin and Hobbes or a random Peanuts or a random Garfield. But I remember as a kid wanting to go to the bookstore and buy the collections of them. So I think it's just a matter of, if you're exposed to something in a certain way, like webcomics it's not necessarily comics, they're more like web strips in the sense of...
But there are some full-on web comics as well.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like Charlie said, you get into a routine, you figure out if, you get to work, you can read it here and do this and this, but...
Well, even comic books in general, to me, are somewhat about establishing a routine. It's typically when I get out of the routine of reading comic books, that's when my stacks have gotten massively big and I've kind of had to reestablish that into my routine.
Me?
Yeah.
Me. No, that's me.
Oh, right.
That's me.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't discredit them at all. I mean, I think that they're a great way to get the work out there and at least get seen by people.
Well, the difference between where I feel webcomics are right now versus like the newspaper strips is there was always a much more, I don't know how to put it, but it was like never really a question of where to find it. Mm-hmm. Like if you wanted to get the collections of Peanuts, you could go to
I see what you're saying.
But I remember
even in the newspaper, you know exactly where they were.
Well, print versions of webcomics are becoming... I mean,
big thing, right?
Well, they are, but so few are kept in print. They're mostly print to order. They're mostly sold straight to the distributor. One of my Michael, who I talked about earlier, had said, "Hey, this comic strip, this webcomic I like, is asking stores to order copies for the shelf." And so he gave me the website, and I look, and there is, and this will actually tie in something I'm going to talk about later. But there was no place to order this. There was a place to order it, but no wholesale place. There's no distribution for this. There's no way for me to get this other than ordering it from their print to order place, which means I'm going to have to sell this $15 comic for $30. In which case, I'm not going to order it. So, like, that's cool if you want this in retail stores, but you have to have some sort of distribution. And most webcomics, I mean, these are generally run by one or two people. They're not professional printing, shipping. I mean, it's a whole different industry. The profit from things like webcomics, I would assume, come mostly from merchandising, T-shirts, ads, stickers, posters, not even ads. They don't have ads.
No, that's what the PvP guy is doing, right? He's doing plushies and...
Oh, yeah. Or in a case of something like Penny Arcade, where you can get actual real advertising and you open these conventions and all this other stuff. I mean, that's, again, stuff like Penny Arcade is like, The Walking Dead, right? You get one guy that makes it huge, everyone else is living off the scraps, right? I mean, it's so rare to see stuff like that happen.
And I mean, not to knock it, but it took Penny Arcade quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
They got to build their audience and stuff.
Years.
Yeah.
It wasn't a overnight thing at all.
No, not at all. And same with PvP. Same with like Girl Genius. That's actually Empowered and Girl Genius. Here's the two actually perfect examples of webcomics that have actually done a really good business of getting them into the comic book stores because they've teamed up with major comic book distributors. Yeah. Penny Arcade does it with, I think Del Rey has their license right now for the print versions. We sell a good deal of them.
Yeah. Empower with Dark Horse.
Yeah. I mean, I have a small webcomic section. I'd love to double it in size, but most of them I just cannot stock because they have no wholesale or in-store option because they have no major distribution, which is unfortunate.
Now, do you ever have people come in and look at the webcomic section and go, this looks interesting enough, but I won't buy it because I could just go home and read it on the web?
Well,
Or is it usually the people that already read it on the web and they just come in and buy the print?
Sure, that's exactly what it is, like almost 100% of the time. If you really like it, you buy the print version. It's I've never heard of it the other way, where this looks cool, I'm going to buy it. Oh, it's a webcomic. I'm sure it happens with the DC's digital books because theirs is so... like the Batman Beyond and the Smallville, those are so set up to be print comic books, and the audience is so used to print that I know people that buy those that have no idea that they're digital comics initially. And DC does not advertise that fact within the comics themselves.
Yeah.
I might actually be the exception to this rule because I've never read any of the Girl Genius stuff, but the fact they had a nice hardcover on display at Comic-Con really made me stop and pause for a moment and go, I kind of want that hardcover.
Well, right, and it is not impossible. It does happen, and you're going to get it. But that's why I said stuff like Empowered and Girl Genius, and these are books that have done a good job of getting the comic book audience at the same time as the webcomic, as opposed to being much later or down the road.
So to all those webcomic guys out there, just make it really, really nice, really thick hardcover, and Charlie will just stop and look at it.
Yeah.
Yes, I will. And then I'll talk about it on the podcast.
Well, this actually, Laura has another question here, which I think is you guys will know some stuff about. For someone mainly into manga but who loves your podcast, thank you. Can you suggest a good fantasy comic with a manga feel? And I actually want to talk about something after we're done, but related
What's
to this. What's
Laura's last name?
Related to this question, it's Laura K. Buzz on Twitter.
Huh.
She does writing for... I'm sorry, we're talking about you, Laura. Here.
Well, as long as it's on
no.
She works
I
for a bunch of... She does.
It's not local though.
MCMBuzz.com.
Maybe just like keep it. We don't need to know her last name. Is she local or no? We don't know.
I don't think so. No.
No, because I used to have a customer named Laura that used to come in and read
so.
a good variety of books. So just wondering.
Yeah, I don't think she is, but I know she works for a bunch of online game site stuff.
Cool.
So, yeah. At least that's what her Twitter says. So, yes. Fantasy comics with a manga feel.
But American.
Sure, yeah, American webcomics. Or American comics. I keep saying webcomics. American comics.
So Charlie is going to say Skull Kickers?
Charlie was going to say Skull Kickers. Doesn't have a manga feel.
No, I wasn't actually going to say Skull Kickers. I'm actually just... You ever have, like, one of those weird cases where you have a, like, panel from a comic in your head? You have no clue what comic it's from, but you can picture the exact panel and go, that was totally what she's asking about. And now for the life of me...
Dark Minds? No, not Dark Minds. The stupid... Dream Wave.
Tell us about this panel, Charlie.
What was that called?
Well, Dark Minds.
No, that's not. That's the sci-fi one.
Book,
no, but Dreamwave did another one. They did a fantasy book.
Dreamwalker? No.
Warlands. Is it?
Yeah,
Warlands?
yeah.
Which was good in the beginning. It's just there's a bunch of assholes working on it, except for the people that never got paid for. You guys are assholes.
Right.
Talk about the guy in charge.
Yeah, Warlands, I never read, but all the stuff from Dreamwave when that was coming out.
Soul Saga?
Yeah, I never read that. Was an Image book.
That's Image book.
I never read Soul Saga.
That's Milton's favorite artist, actually. That never finished.
How about Bone?
Sure.
Wait, Talos.
Tell us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good fantasy book. I really enjoyed that one.
It's another book by Image that's with art by... Oh, man.
Mike Wieringo.
Mike Wieringo. Yeah, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, so they will not be continuing that series. But yeah,
that's a cool book. I like that one. Yeah.
I'm just going to stick with Bone.
If they're still in print, this is kind of a light fantasy called Leave It to Chance, but written by James Robinson, which was a kind of fun series. Not fantasy. This is going to be a really light fantasy book.
Wait. Suburban Glamour? Well, which one was it? No, not Suburban Glamour. What the other book that the guy did?
Phonogram?
No, it is Suburban Glamour.
Yeah, Suburban Glamour.
Yeah, that's a fantasy book, isn't it? Kind of.
Like modern fantasy.
Yeah, it's modern. Yeah.
It's magic in like the modern day with lots of Britpop and music.
But that one's kind of cool, though. I like that book.
Great art.
Yeah.
Yep. Guy's doing, isn't he doing, Jamie McKelvey? He's doing X-Men.
Yeah, he's doing that season 1 you hate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why. I was really excited that he's attached to it, but you were like, fuck season 1.
Well, those books are just bad. Yeah, I mean, this is stuff out there. I mean, I really like Skull Kickers, which he's talked about a few times on this podcast. I haven't read it, so...
You could always
go with Battle Chasers. Isn't that the main current one that's out? I mean, Battle is never finished.
It's not done yet.
Yeah, well, there's Skyrunner by Ollie Garza. That's a good one. I like personally a lot. But.
What's funny about fantasy, there are very few successful and ongoing fantasy books and comic books. You'd think there would be. There's a ton of sci-fi, a lot of licensed stuff, obviously a ton of superhero stuff. Fantasy has never hit it big. You get stuff like Conan. You know, you have these kind of fantasy light or sort of takes on it.
They're staples.
But it's so rare that there's ongoing fantasy titles.
The D&D comic's good.
Yeah, actually, I like the Forgotten Realm ones. But now, something I want to bring up, because it actually relates to this question a little bit.
And it relates to your other question,
And it relates to the other question about independent comic stuff and like webcomic stuff and about distribution and all this. So a few weeks ago, I'm totally not meaning to call these guys out about this, but this is just what I got, so I'll say it. Got an email pack, or got a pack in the mail from this company called Crucidel, Crucidel, Crucidel. That sounds right. Productions. They had these two comics. One is going to be in previews called Cross Star, which looks okay. It's kind of looks like a Wolverine thing. I don't know, but the one that
I like his description. Wolverine.
Well, no, the one that caught my eye.
I think that's your new nickname from now on. Hey, Wolverine.
The one that caught my eye was on the other side of this flip book. It's a preview and called Nightingale. Nightingail. So a couple three-plan words.
Spells, it's really annoying.
Nightingale. Well, it's not nightingale like the bird. It's a plan word. So this is a fantasy series. It's got maybe a little more. Animal. What the heck do they call that? Huh?
Animal theme.
It's got maybe a little more.
Like a little Thundercat.
It's got a little more furry than I wanted, but it's actually so. I know nothing about this comic. I know nothing about it. The art looks nice. It actually looks like
bad.
It looks like
I'm looking over Charlie's shoulder here for people that can't see. Well,
so this book. They say they have issues 1 through 6 done. It's a 6-issue miniseries. It's all printed, all ready to go.
That's good.
It's completely done. The art's got a kind of a light J. Scott Campbell, Battle Chasers kind of, a little bit kind of mixed with like the Grimm fairy tales sort of style cover art. But it's all, what's this? Who does the cover art on a lot of the Grimm stuff?
Bendis.
Ali Garza now?
No, the other guy.
Ebass?
Yeah, Ebass. A little bit, right? I mean, it's kind of got a little bit of that feel. Cool little fantasy story. Like I said, maybe a little furry for my taste, but still looks like something I could sell.
Yeah.
So I get this email, or I get this pack, and I'm like, cool, let's go visit this website. Well, the website doesn't load. All right.
Well, they spend all their money in printing their books, man.
I try it 2 or 3 different ways. It doesn't work through any iteration of trying to get the site to load. I do a Google search. Nothing. Right? This company doesn't exist. I find one article about another company like publishing this Cross Star, but not these guys. So I eventually just do a search for the Nightingale book after like 5 minutes of looking around. I want to order this comic book to sell in the store. I get a page with them. They're like, "Oh, order the comic here," and there's all these weird variant covers and kind of like Grimm fairy tale style. For those who read the Zenescope book, like actual photograph of women dressed up like their main character and stuff like that on the cover.
Each variant has less and less clothing.
And they're $10-$20 each, but I'm just looking for the main title, right? And I'm like, I see no way of like wholesaling this book. I'm like, you print out copies of this preview book, you send out letters, the information on the page is wrong. You send this out to me, I can't order this book. You tell me there's a form on the back with some of the variant covers. I have like nowhere to ship. It says like, oh, you can fill this out and send it to us. And there's no address to send it. Like, I mean, I guess I could maybe use the address that's on the front.
That would be the
that's on
logical
the
thing.
But there's not. But
it should be on the paper.
It should be on the paper. So I'm like, man, I actually kind of want to stock this book, but this is really like this is hard. So I finally sent an email to them, just to that main site, being, I want to order your book, but I have no way to. So independent comic creators, if you're creating a comic book, make sure 1, you have your webpage online.
Yeah.
2, make sure you have return address somewhere if you want to order. Have email contact, something like, man, guys, your book looks kind of cool. I can sell it to people. I'd like to stock some.
The cover is really nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I definitely have a Thundercats feel.
Yeah, like I said, maybe a little.
It's actually really. I got to give them props for having 1 through 6 done on their own completely.
That was the selling point.
Yeah, that's really cool of them, I have to say.
That was a selling point. The fact that they had all 6 issues in the can, and they have art from all 6. I was like, sold. Like, that's...
It's because you don't know how many times we give, like, random, independent guys a shot, and all you ever see is a number 1.
Right.
Maybe a number 2, like, 5 years later.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It happens so often.
Yeah.
So...
It's really cool of them to actually have all 6 done, but yeah.
So, Laura, if this book may actually kind of be up your alley, you may want to check this out.
Yeah,
Nightingale.
Actually, totally.
Yeah. Kind of got a Thundercats fantasy feel to it, so it looks pretty fun. So you guys want to check this out.
I like how they're doing miniseries, too. It's like 1 through 7 miniseries, so you could tell that they're planning a nice trade of it afterwards.
Yeah.
Same as the other ones, 1 through 6. But yeah, props to them to finishing it all beforehand. But come on now.
Yeah. All right, I was gonna do some other people's comic list this week for their top comic movies because we got just too late last week, but we got some other stuff to talk about. So if I don't squeeze it in, we'll do it next week. But Brock wanted to talk about Marvel Now, which I don't think we've gone through this too much. We've talked about it a little bit. Marvel Now, for those who are unaware, is Marvel is going to be restarting.
Not restarting. They're very clear.
Restarting a lot of their titles, the numbering again to number 1s. This is.
So shouldn't you say renumbering?
Well, relaunching their titles, not relaunching their universe. Everything from Avengers Disassembled, which was like early 2000s, to the end of Avengers vs. X-Men is like a series, a television series, a movie. Like, this is the end. Now Marvel Now is the start of, like, the second season. Despite them making this claim, like, 4 times previous, Secret Invasion is the end of Disassembled. I mean, Civil War is the end of Disassembled. Okay, no. So now, once again, this is now the end of Disassembled. So
what is this, like, phase 1 or 0.5?
Yeah, this is their new phase 2.
See, I'm just picturing some kind of weird video of Ryan dressed up in different things over the years saying this exact rant, like, House of M is going to be the end of Disassembled. A while later, Civil War is now going to be the end of Disassembled.
This should be the end because Brian Michael Bendis is no longer on the Avengers.
And that's why this is actually, to me, okay, I will buy it that it's the end, all right? Yeah. But let's talk some of these books that are coming up in creative teams and my complete lack of interest. And no, this is not just me hating Marvel. We'll as we go through these books, let's talk about these real quick. So I found this nice checklist here. It's on Geek Who Landed WordPress.
Geek Hole?
I have no idea who this guy is. I just thank you, Geek Who Landed on WordPress. You made this list for us to read. So first, Captain America by Rick Remender and John Romita Jr. Okay, Captain America dropped.
Yep.
My last Marvel book now dropped. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, John Romita Jr.
It just, I have no problem with that particular team. I know other people do, but I don't. But I have a hard time picturing it on Captain America.
Yeah, it's like you go from this cool kind of, Steve Epting, Mike Perkins, kind of realistic look to Romita Jr., I'm sorry.
Who has done good Cap work 15 years ago.
Yeah, but his work now is...
right.
Okay, so next one.
Fantastic Four. Following up from the amazing...
Mr. Hickman.
Jonathan Hickman run.
Which I'm actually reading in trade.
Yeah.
I'm not doing Singlishes, but I am reading in trade.
Amazing. Yeah. I love it.
Is Matt Fraction. Okay.
I like Fraction.
And Mark Bagley.
I have no problem with Bagley.
Actually, I don't have a problem with that either.
Do you know new Mark Bagley? Recent Mark Bagley?
No.
Not really.
His Ultimate Spider-Man towards the end just couldn't hold me, and his Trinity was atrocious.
You guys have heard of a comic book called The New Warriors, right? I think I've talked about this book from time to time.
Who are you talking to?
I know. I'm just saying.
I'm your New Warrior buddy here, man.
I know. You guys heard me mention this book maybe once or twice before, right?
Yes.
New Warriors. It's a comic book I actually kind of liked.
Yes.
The artist was Mark Bagley. All right? One of my absolute favorite artists for years and years and years. Not cutting it anymore.
Really? I liked his Ultimate Spider-Man run. I haven't seen
Early
it
Ultimate Spider-Man.
His later ones didn't bother me.
Well, let's wait to see how this new book, maybe it'll be the new improved Mark Bagley.
Maybe.
Avengers Assembled. That's a book he's writing with Bendis.
Why is the assembled part of the title again?
That's Avengers Assemble is the name of the title. This is ongoing right now.
I didn't
mind the art in that book.
It's okay. Does this replace?
I'm a writer guy.
Does this replace what Hickman? And normally I am too, but these art styles are so different. Do not work with these characters.
Yeah, it's
and
kind
these
of weird
creators.
because you kind of want to leeway the people into that were reading the book to continue rather than having them stop.
I completely agree that there's typically you want to have a good segue point, but I mean, I hate to say it, but with the whole Marvel Now event, they don't.
It is like JLA did it really well.
They're kind of doing we are ending these big, massive, monumental runs on all these books. This is going to be something completely different from that, and that's kind of what I think they're.
Anyone got a deck of cards?
Yeah, at least Charlie. At least we get to get all these cool hardcovers, and then we know when to stop.
Okay, so this next one might actually work for me.
All right, bring it on.
FF, which is the Future Foundation, right? By Matt Fraction, again taking over both FF books, like Sean Hickman did, and Mike Allred. Now, to me, Mike Allred.
Sorry, Jess.
Mike Allred, to me, no on like Fantastic Four, but FF, if they go a crazy X-Force route and do something totally crazy with this book,
it could work for a lot of people, not for me. I mean,
no interest.
No, Mike Allred is a good creator. Respect has to be given, and it could work for them, not for me. I'm not a Mike Allred fan. Sure. I'm sorry.
So I know some of this stuff has been confirmed, but not all of it, as far as I know, because all this stuff is coming through those.
This is coming from the geek who landed.
Well, from what I recall, all this stuff has been being sort of previewed with like one word, and then the team that's going to be on it, like it would say soldier, and then the team that was going to be on it. And they only confirmed what the book was if somebody, like if Mark Waid tweeted about it or so-and-so tweeted about it.
So some of these may change, but I believe these are all pretty accurate. Yeah. So X-Men Legacy, which I've ignored for 10 years now, by Cy Spurrier. I have no idea who that is. Art by Tang En Huat, who I'm probably just totally mispronounced his name. No. This guy's great. He's the guy that did the Middle Doom Patrol before the John Byrne relaunch, after the
Middle Doom Patrol.
The Morrison. This guy's art is like Frank Quietly's younger brother. Like this guy's art is crazy, and I'm really curious to see what this guy does. Cool. I really like him.
Okay.
Deadpool by Gary Duggan and Brian Posson. I don't know who those are.
Yeah, that one's been confirmed.
Yeah, I think they're comedians. So what they're doing, they're giving a bunch of comedians to write Deadpool, which could really work.
Yeah.
Or it could really not work, but I'm hoping it will really work.
And art by Tony Moore, Tony Moore's a great artist.
Yeah.
Cool.
Trevor will like it.
Now this...
Oh, wait. Trevor's not Tony Moore. It's the other one. Sorry, Trevor.
Now this could go one of a few ways. Incredible Hulk by Mark Waid and Lionel Yu.
I'm currently completely and totally in love with Wade, so I'm going to give this one thumbs up. I am
very intrigued by that.
I'm intrigued by that.
Except for that Lionel Yu hasn't finished books.
Exactly. He'll do two. It's you're throwing in what's his face again, Silvestri, right? He'll do an issue and a half and then get 12-issue fill-in artists.
But man, that's actually a really, really interesting creative team.
Because Jason Aaron's Hulk has not worked for me at all.
No, but this I actually am very, very intrigued by this.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I'm
not
even a Hulk fan. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah.
See, the one thing I have gotten from this particular event that they're trying to sort of hype up a little right now, and I'm wondering how long it actually lasts, is they're supposedly saying this is going to be the beginning of a new big run on these books, like new direction. This isn't going to be a team for one arc. I mean, they're kind of poking fun a little bit at how some of the change up has happened on the new 52 books.
But my problem is these are going to be the ongoing artists, except none of these artists can do ongoing work.
Yeah.
Therein lies the problem. Thor by Jason Aaron and Asad Ribic. Again, cool, but I don't think Ribic can do work on a regular basis. He's the kind of slow artist.
I haven't been able to get behind Aaron's superhero stuff. His Scalped is amazing.
Yeah.
But his superhero stuff, I can't get behind.
He could write that as more as a mythological story rather than the superhero Thor. So
that's what I'm hoping.
Cool.
I mean, hopefully. I mean, I might read the first one of that one, but
yeah, that could be cool.
Well, I'll read the first one of all of them.
Iron Man by Kieran Gillen and Greg Land. So they're just replacing the Uncanny X-Men team over to Iron Man. Cool. I've liked Uncanny for a long time, so I like Kieran Gillen. He's cool. Greg Land. I actually totally don't mind Greg Land's like current art. I know some people hate him. He's totally fine. So
yeah,
I just have to get used to. I'll just have to get used to Pepper Potts having like an O face in every picture, but that's just what he does. So.
I like his art, actually.
Uncanny Avengers by Rick Remender and John Cassaday. Now, there's an artist that can't do unless it's the crappy John Cassaday. He's done some art recently that was like, okay, yep, you can do this monthly because you're like quarter-assing this. So, we'll see. Rick Remender, Uncanny Avengers. I don't know if I care.
I don't know if I care for the title, to be honest with you.
Here's one that I have no idea what to make of. All New X-Men #1, which is the 1960s X-Men in today.
Mm-hmm. The time jump?
Yeah.
They met Doctor Who, got into a TARDIS, and got dropped off here?
By Brian Michael Bendis and Stuart Immonen. So...
that's how they're bringing back Jean.
Is this an ongoing book? Do they kill Cyclops at the end of...
That's kind of the impression I'm getting.
Yeah.
Is Cyclops is going to die, and then they're going to bring
Cyclops and Jean back. Here's a perfect way to reboot your characters to be younger. AVX, or A plus X, which is a rotating creative team, whatever. New Avengers #1 by Jonathan Hickman and Steve Epting. Cool. I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And Avengers by Jonathan Hickman and Jerome Opena, whose art is hit or miss for me. So, I mean, Hickman on the Avengers titles.
Yeah.
That's the most I've wanted to buy an Avengers book in a decade.
Yes.
So...
that should be awesome.
I think we're like 50-50.
I think I'll read that.
Yeah, I think we're like 50-50. Personally, the odds of me buying a lot of these is unlikely, but I'm at least excited about half of them, and there's a chance I'll be buying my first Avengers book in over a decade. So I'm actually excited.
I'm worried. I think we chatted about this earlier. I'm worried that my Gambit single issues is going to be canceled by Marvel now and get relaunched.
Marvel's trying to launch a few more solo titles, so there's a new Gambit book coming out. There's that new Miss Marvel, Hawkeye.
Gambit's out this week.
Which, unfortunately, to me, Hawkeye and Miss Marvel, or Captain Marvel, I should say, didn't have the strongest opening issues.
Oh, really?
I think the Hawkeye was
I'm not really
fine. I mean,
there was no action.
I don't really like...
The only issue I had with the Hawkeye book, ironically, is that it was called Hawkeye and not Clint.
That's exactly what I mean.
Because I thought it was a interesting book to read, but it wasn't a... He was in costume like 3 panels or something.
The old Hawkeye better.
The reason they didn't call it Clint was because the font would have looked a little funny?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but even the Gambit, the previous issues, I'm not so much digging the art, but it's Gambit. I'm buying it.
I don't know. I'm just really, really, really scared, and you'll hear me Wilhelm scream when they finally announce the Cable book, which has already been confirmed. There's going to be a Cable book in the Marvel now, but they have not put out a team on it.
Is it Soldier X?
But Loeb and
what
stuff is still floating around there. He's supposed to be writing a book in... So I have a feeling I'm going to be screaming and yelling. And
maybe Loeb will write the Cable book, and Cable joins the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then he writes that too.
Well, I don't want to put a gun to your head and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
All I can say is I'm looking forward to a new Cable book, and they're going to ruin it for me, and I'm going to cry and cry and cry.
You know with how many times Ryan's been right about things. I'm a little worried about what he just said.
No, Guardians... You know if they do Guardians of the Galaxy, it's going to be like Jean and Cyclops flying around doing crap after AVX. That's my concern. I thought about that for a while.
I'm really worried about what comes out of this and all the reshuffling. And
well, they've done... Out of every event has come either a complete lack of interest in any of their titles, a complete apathy on Marvel's end to publish exciting new titles and to actually take a chance to do something different.
Yeah, I mean,
or it just leads to another event. I mean, and I'll talk about this in a second because we have the July 2012 top 300 comics here. Partially, I wanted to talk about it because Walking Dead 100 hit the top as we all knew it would, and we have its estimated sales at 335,000 copies with another 31,000 with the Chrome.
Can I tell Toby something real quick?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Just because I feel like sharing this just to get Toby's reaction.
What?
So
my master's book is freaking being jerked around?
No.
No.
So they announced the next Phineas and Ferb movie.
Ooh.
Like the next one, direct to TV.
Yes, I don't care. I'm in.
Mission Marvel. It is a crossover.
Yeah.
Oh, I did read about that. and that's going to be
when Disney buys Marvel.
Yeah, but that could be kind of cool.
No, don't get me wrong. I'll watch it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it.
No. So let me rephrase it. If it was a Marvel thing that happened to cross over with Phineas first, that'd be the worst thing ever, right? But since it's Phineas and Ferb crossing with the Marvel people, that's okay with me. Because Phineas and Ferb will do crazy things like that when something like that can happen. So coming from that end, it's cool with me, but not the other way around. But I'm in.
I don't know. Based on awesome. The little bit I read about it, it sounds like they're establishing Phineas and Ferb are in the Marvel actual universe.
Actually, I wouldn't mind that. If they're realistic, it'd be funny if they're in cartoon or cartoony, and then realistic, they're just two smart kids.
Well, I think that, I read that article that Brian up at Comics Experience wrote.
Brian Hibbs, yeah.
Brian Hibbs, and he said, there's no real sell point. There's no real kind of, with the New 52, there was this one kind of, this is what we're doing, it's a push. Where this is just going back to the renumbering the number one bin. This is the taking the creative teams and putting them their names on cards and then shuffling them and then just throwing them out and dealing them.
That's the part of this that kind of bothers me, and it's kind of a shame just because I understand where some of it's coming from. But it's like with Brubaker's announcement about
a month ago,
yeah, and stuff. I kind of feel like the creative teams that are sort of shuffling around leave me curious to see what they go to with new books, but it's like...
Well, here's my concern with the Marvel stuff, right? Not to cut you off here, but I think we're going in the same direction. There is no Animal Man. There is no Swamp Thing. There is no Scott Snyder coming out of fucking nowhere and becoming the number one creator of the book. These are all people we know, all on characters we know, on books we know. There's no surprises. There's nothing special is coming out of this. Every time Marvel has relaunched the book, the sales have been lower on the number one than the previous relaunch, with maybe a couple exceptions, but overall. And the numbers are back to their previous numbers or below before the end of the year, and with the double shipping before 6 months are over.
Yeah.
Well, part of what
in some cases within like 2 or 3 issues.
Yeah.
Part of what gets me about this is it's like, I hate to say it, but my expectations are already somewhat low for the new Fantastic Four book, not because I have a problem with the team they put on it, but because I know the team who just left it, and it's supposed to have this big epic finale, and then...
Well, the majority of these creative teams are not as strong as the teams they're replacing, and I think that's a really scary fact.
If they wanted to make some noise, what would have been cool is have Josh Whedon write the Avengers.
Sure,
that would have been huge. I mean, coming off,
I would order.
Avengers,
oh my God, you don't even know,
right? Yeah. I mean, have Josh Whedon write the Avengers
comic.
Yeah,
have Josh Whedon write the Avengers comic. Have Hickman do like the second greatest thing at Marvel.
And here's my issue coming. By not copying DC, you front loaded me to order a crapload of all these number ones, right, for DC. By the time we've had, because these are releasing one new issue a week, right? Mm-hmm. By the time the third issue comes out, I have already dropped my order from issues 4 and on for the number ones, because it's one a week. Mm-hmm. Because when there's no interest in those first 3 weeks on any of the new titles, that first week the books come out, I can adjust my order for the 4th week.
Yeah.
So whatever that 4th book is, when that first issue that comes out doesn't sell, I'm cutting the entire line down to basically to what I ordered of the previous issue. I'm not going to bump my orders at all. I mean, I don't plan to go high with a few exceptions. Maybe the Hickman Avengers I'll go higher on, but the rest there's no interest, and I see no.
As a retailer, you have to. I mean, you have to maintain that base level because you can't have all this stock sitting on the shelves.
I mean, if there was returnability, which I don't believe there is, Marvel does the extra discounting instead of returnability, and I think that's a huge mistake because what ends up happening is their ratios to hit the extra discount for the retailers comes at a higher and higher, because you order one book and the next book on the list is you have to beat the previous book, and the third book is you have to beat the second book, or at least match. And it's like eventually it doesn't work out unless they start lowering that number down. Yeah. So it's very difficult to order and hit those incentives.
I mean, today, you got a call from the DC rep today, and you were asking about titles on the wall. I mean, second printings for things like number 2s and 3s and stuff, and because people are still jumping onto these books and reading through them because there's an interest, because it's like, okay, I can actually get to there, whereas there's not that interest, and I don't see this interest building momentum.
Well, hopefully they'll surprise us.
Here, I got it. Josh Whedon on Avengers, Hickman on the X-Men titles. Like, relaunch strong. You have the flagship titles. Right now, it seems like a bunch of scattered books.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta have these flagship titles and then have, like, these anchors, basically.
Right.
And then have the little books come with it. That
well,
would be cool.
Right, I mean, you had Action Comics, Batman, Justice League, right? These are your 3 anchor books for DC.
Yeah.
The Superman, the Batman, and the team books, right?
Exactly.
And then you have your Justice League Dark and Animal Man and Swamp Thing and all these kind of side, you had those other,
I'm
Titans.
offended that you didn't name Green Lantern. I'm offended.
Well, Justice League is the core book in the Justice League line, right? It is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So you have these couple books that are your absolute best creative teams. None of those creative teams that Marvel had, to me, have the same push as a Jeff Johns and Jim Lee or Scott Snyder. Mm-hmm. Not that people knew a Batman #1 would sell good, but Superman #1 sold good. But by Superman #4, no one cared. By Batman #4, sales were higher than #1 for a lot of places that didn't order big. So it's like, that's crazy. That's crazy talk.
Well, and the trades are selling.
They're really good.
Really, really well, on top of still people wanting to go get the single issues.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, even back to Marvel Now's checklist, I mean, the Guardians, which I'm super stoked about just the fact that they're bringing the space stuff back, but then the creative team starts off with...
Well, we don't know.
Well, if it starts off with Jeff Loeb, then...
I mean, that's been a rumor for a while, but they've not announced anything, so there's no teaser for it. I'm sure it's coming, but...
Jeff Loeb is probably better off just changing his name for a while and just start writing and maybe do some good books and people might actually read it again.
Brock brought up this article, Tilting It with Mills. The article is called, written by Brian Hibbs, who runs Comic Experience up in San Francisco. He had a really good point that Marvel has not had any, like you said, strong title to lead them up, to really lead them, or like Toby said, to really kind of take them out the gate and put everything around this. And by doing this, by splitting it up over 22 weeks, you're just going to kill any book from week 4 and on, because you're leaving so much money on the table. Because if I could tell people tomorrow, 22 titles, 22 new Marvel books, they're going to ship all 22. You have. So what's that break down to? Call it 7 a week or something like that.
But then they also on top they're double shipping.
Well, of course. So most of these books would be double shipped at $4 a pop, which is like.
I remember reading a long time ago that the was it Uncanny Avengers or something was supposed to have a shit ton of title covers. Wasn't?
Uncanny Avengers is going to have 14 titles or something ridiculous. Yeah, I'm not playing ball.
I actually got into it with one of my followers because there was a complaint about the Walking Dead covers, and I'm like,
you could order those individually.
But yeah, you could order them individually, and Walking Dead 100 was a milestone for a
Uncanny Avengers
comic that this is a milestone issue, whereas. How many #1s of an Avengers title have we had in the past decade?
The thing
#1 had how many covers?
Yeah, one.
The thing that amuses me is we were all talking about how much more of Justice League they could have sold if they did 8 covers with Justice League, and now they're doing it with Avengers, and we're all...
But it's the wrong book.
Yeah, but it's Avengers.
It's Avengers. Nobody's... I mean...
But, look here.
But Avengers by Josh Whedon would have been baller.
Absolutely. If it was...
And 14 covers.
Realistically, if they had brought back the team from Astonishing X-Men with Whedon and Cassidy and launched it with that...
Marvel.
Hands down.
Uncanny Avengers by Whedon and Cassidy... with a Cap cover, a Thor cover, an Iron Man cover, a
single-person
cover,
Hulk
cover, a Hawkeye cover, a Black Widow cover, and an Agent Coulson cover. You've sold me 800 to 1,000 copies
and
of this book.
And that's the thing is Wildcats did that on Volume 2 for their #1.
Yeah.
And it's like each individual person in the team. That I can understand because that plays into the dynamic of what you're...
Well, what's funny here with Marvel is... When AVX first came out, and we talked about this on the podcast, AVX was a huge shot in the arm for Marvel. Marvel sales have been lagging so badly recently for everyone, especially after the New 52 stuff. With AVX, though, it brought up all the crossover issues. All the issues for me were selling out. We bumped our orders, got second prints, all this stuff. Since then, I guarantee you it's because of the double shipping and the $4 price point, and most of these crossovers are what they call Red Sky crossovers. It's a reference back to Crisis on Infinite Earths, where every book had to cross over to Crisis on Infinite Earths. In some of the books, they would just go, oh, hey, sky's red, something weird's going on, and that was the extent of the crossover. So this phrase, Red Skies crossover, for people that don't know what that means. Most of these crossovers have been Red Sky crossovers, where they have little of anything to do with AVX. My numbers on almost all the books that have crossed over are lower than where they were before they crossed over. I've dropped my numbers from getting an extra 10 or 15 copies, which in some cases is twice the numbers I was getting for like Avengers Academy and a few other titles, to now getting less than what I was before the crossover. Well, it's still in the middle of the crossover. That's a huge problem. The biggest Marvel book in July was Uncanny X-Men at the number 14 spot, with 66,000 estimated copies sold. AVX is obviously way still up there high. The reason these numbers are up there so high is they're massive discounting for keeping higher copies. So the more you order, the cheaper the books are. So you're basically throwing away money if you order less, as well as the massive amount of variant covers on them, which you turn around, you sell them, you're profiting. Where stuff like Batman 11, Justice League 11, and I'll give AVX. AVX is up here at number 7, the Versus book, which I believe this is an appropriate sale. 86,000 is only one variant for that book, so that's fine. Detective 11, Green Lantern 11, Action 11, Earth 2, a couple before Watchmen, Dark Knight. I mean, these are all beating Uncanny X-Men. And it's kind of crazy. Where's Aquaman now? Oh, Aquaman's all the way to 27. You're slipping on me, Aquaman. What's happening?
I remember reading something about what's the first book that cost like $2.99? Wasn't that like place 20 something?
No,
there was only one.
It's your boy Green Lantern at number 9.
Yeah, but most of the books in like all the top spots are all also like $4 books. Which is kind of scary.
I mean, I'm looking. Let's see, from 1 to 20, 1 to 30, there is like 8 $2.99 books, and they're all DC.
And where are they? Like, I got the impression most of the top selling books this month were $4 books.
Well, let's start at the top. Walking Dead number 1, $4. AVX
oversized
7. Yeah, AVX 7 and 8 at 2 and 3, $4. Batman 11, $4. Justice League 11, $4. Before Watchmen, Ozymandias number 1, $4. AVX Versus number 4, $4. Detective, $4. Green Lantern, $3. Action, $4. Minutemen, $4. Dark Knight, $3. Earth 2, $3. Uncanny X-Men, $4. Batman and Robin, $3. So you're down at the top 15 there. So yeah, I mean, most of them are $3.99. People buy the event books. So Marvel wants to do more events. DC wants to do more events. This is why people buy these books. I'm sorry. When books aren't at events.
But if you're looking at what kind of $4 books people are buying, they're buying those the big
books.
The father of the father of the family there. They're buying Batman. They're buying
the way it
Action.
always is. That's the way it always is.
And that's the thing. But if you look at like what Marvel has, all of their top books are $4, and those are just crossover books. That's just a crossover book.
But what 66,000. You could say this all you want. Used to be the cancellation point, and it's true. The world is different these days. You're selling fewer copies. You have to charge more. You have digital. You have trade paperback. You have all these other versions of income other than the single issues. I mean, I'm okay with the prices being what they are, but if the quality is not there, these books will continue to slip. And the AVX crossovers, and I guarantee you it's because of the double shipping, they don't have that much to say. These creative teams are being run through the hoops. And when this started, I thought this was going to be awful. But they kept their numbers, they sold well, and with the crossovers, they actually sold stronger. That blew me away. I was totally... But now we're finding, look, these numbers are now on their way down, and I'm guaranteeing you I hear it all the time. It's because of the double shipping and because of the $4 price point.
So, random question, where is Daredevil in the list?
The quality book of Daredevil. That is
Punisher.
That is the quality book of Daredevil that is an internet favorite. 47th with 38,000 copies sold.
Punisher,
but it's awesome.
Punisher, the amazing book by Greg Rucka, one of the best books Marvel's currently being published.
Fucking amazing.
94th place.
What?
23,000 copies, right above 2 issues of X Factor, internet darling, that never sells. Right there with Dial H, the great new DC title that doesn't sell. Followed closely by All-Star Western, which is a fantastic DC book that doesn't sell. Right around the spot of, Defenders, another book the internet loves that doesn't sell.
Okay, all the people buying all the crappy big event books, buy Daredevil. You'll be doing yourself a favor.
Hulk, one of the internet's favorite titles, the crazy Jeff Parker Hulk book. Everyone loves it. 99th place. Right above Star Trek Doctor Who Simulation number 3.
That's an awesome book,
that's a great place for a book like that. But I guarantee you, this Star Trek, 21,000, this doesn't take in European sales. I guarantee you European sales double that number.
Ouch.
I guarantee you it's going to sell a shitload of trades.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the other thing, though. I mean, like, with the hypothetical awesome Marvel relaunch with Whedon on Avengers and Hickman doing X-Men in Toby's world.
What are you talking about? You're killing me, Toby. I want this book now.
I know. Well, no,
but
just
if you think about it comes.
No, not only that. When they do that, they could relaunch like the really awesome Daredevil, the really awesome Punisher as like a new Marvel Knights thing. You know, just not even just continuing, but like, you know, resell it, repackage it, like do ads for it again and stuff like that. This could have been really huge for Marvel. They should just hire me. I'm just trying to get a job right now.
If they just said, you know what, forget it, we're copying DC straight up, we're going to have 52 new titles over, 13 a week for, or they do 60 titles, right? Whatever Marvel's always publishes more. We'll do them. We're just going to do this. Cool. I'm in. I'm all in. 1 a week for 22 weeks. Kind of ho-hum creative teams.
You mean people are going to get tired out by week 4?
You offer me.
Well, here's the other thing. Why do you release Gambit #1 next week? Why don't you just hold off and just package it all together? I don't understand any of this.
Exactly what they did with Batwoman. They let the creative teams get some. Why are we getting Gambit, Miss Marvel, or Captain Marvel, and
just launch it together. I mean, it should be just like one giant push for, hey, we're fucking back.
Exactly.
Look at us.
Well, and the other thing is like you were saying earlier, they don't have the Animal Man, they don't have the Swamp Thing, they don't have these characters that are going to come out of the woodwork.
But those were totally unexpected.
But that is your Daredevil, your Hawkeye, your Miss Marvel. You launch a Nick Fury and Agent Coulson book, and actually push it, really push this as being part of the Marvel universe. They tried it with a dumb Battle Scars thing and no one cared. But I think you could get them. You could get a movie audience. You could get those people and buying those books.
If they did it right, especially if you put Rucka on that book, like a Nick Fury Rucka.
Dude, there's a lot of things Marvel could really do. Yeah.
Well, here's something Marvel might do, and we'll talk about this for a minute here.
Oh,
a lot of news around today.
Yes,
that Marvel wants to apparently trade.
Well, it's not Marvel that wants to trade.
Well, Fox wants to trade with Marvel.
Yes.
Well,
from
Fox wants a extension on their agreement with Daredevil,
and they're willing.
The movie,
yes. And they're willing to trade
the Fantastic Four.
Well, no, Galactus. And Silver Surfer,
and
Silver Surfer,
which will work in Marvel's favor.
So basically, what happened was years ago, Marvel licensed out a bunch of their characters to be turned into movies. Fox got Daredevil, Fantastic Four, and X-Men. Along, I think, didn't they have Ghost Rider, or did someone else have Ghost Rider?
Fox.
Is that okay? That was Ghost Rider, and I think so. There was a handful of the ones that they got. Obviously, Daredevil, Fantastic Four went nowhere. The movies, didn't. They were not successful, regardless of what you think. They were not successful.
Yeah, agreed.
And so there's been talk for a long time about trying to redo them, and if they don't, if they don't re-up them, they have to give them back to Marvel.
If they don't, if they don't start, from what I understand, if they don't start production by October, the rights automatically revert back to Marvel.
Which we all are really hoping for, but...
So they have said, hey, we'll give you back some of your FF guys. Well, this says, in return of the rights to use characters from the Fantastic Four universe, including Galactus and Silver Surfer. But does that include the Fantastic Four?
No, I don't think so.
It doesn't sound like it.
Okay, so this is something that's been going around a lot today.
Though. I mean,
but there's a counter to this, though. There was an update to this. So comicbookmovie.com posted this, and a lot of other people posted this as well. Deadline posted earlier that Fox insiders, quote-unquote, Fox, this is actually, they don't want to do this. So
So maybe
they
wanted the extension of Marvel to go, sure, give us Silver Surfer and Galactus, you got extension. Yeah. Maybe Fox goes back on, no, we don't want to give you that either.
Maybe. This says they want Fantastic Four as a priority. The studio is lukewarm about Daredevil. So I guess the guy they want is Joe Carnahan, who has done
the A-Team?
A-Team, right?
Isn't it?
Yeah,
so.
He's the one that's behind the Daredevil reboot, which they want like a very kind of Dirty Harry 70s kind of crime series, which that sounds cool, but then you look at
really
Avengers.
Hard to get it going by October.
But then you look at Avengers and you go Fantastic Four, Space, Avengers. Sure, we can make Avengers like money on a Fantastic Four movie if it's done right. So if there was a
keyword, if it's done right,
I think if it was a chance, Fox is keeping FF and dumping Daredevil. FF seems like something that could become the big summer sci-fi blockbuster. Daredevil,
and
the most you're going to get out of Daredevil is a crime noir thing, and that was
but no. Here's the thing, though. Like Silver Surfer, Galactus, you could still do your FF movie with something completely else,
right?
Yeah.
And give Marvel Silver Surfer and Galactus back. That could really
and
work.
I mean, you already had your quote-unquote Surfer Galactus Fantastic Four movie, so that wouldn't be what you're going to use in your next.
Right.
Yeah.
Which,
So,
I mean, for me, it just really comes down to if Marvel's intent in doing the cosmic stuff in movies, which I applaud them for doing.
Yeah.
With Thanos and stuff.
Would be nice in there.
I really need Surfer in there, so I really want them to do this deal.
Well, yeah, but then wouldn't you like go beyond it? Go really? Where's the Fantastic Four when Avengers go in space? Where's Reed Richards? Where's
I'm not saying that there wouldn't still be a part of me who wants more, but I just.
I brought this
so
up.
closely associate, like, Infinity Gauntlet was huge and so much more than just the Fantastic Four or just the Avengers.
Yeah.
But I can't picture it without Surfer.
Well, let's take a look at some of these numbers here real quick, okay? So we know Iron Man 3, we know Thor, we know Captain America, we know Guardians of the Galaxy, and we know Avengers.
Yeah.
Right? So that's 5 movies. We know they want FF because it's a guy from Chronicle, right? Josh Trank is his name.
Yeah.
Right, they've been talking to him for FF. For
Marvel
a while.
Is or Fox?
Fox. They've been talking, all right.
Yeah.
Something's happened with Daredevil. People are talking about Daredevil. All right. So whether it goes or stays or whatever. All right.
But not like Silver Surfer and Galactus could nicely fit into the cinematic universe pretty easily.
Sure.
If they get FF, they have to really figure out how to fit in the FF at this point.
Well, here's, like, for me, the real question is, there's a difference between the rights reverting back and the rights being shared. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is asking for the rights to be shared or the rights
I don't
reverting
think they'll ever
back.
share.
No. Well, you have, they've talked Ant-Man. All right.
Yes.
That's 8. A lot of talk about Black Panther. They really want to do a Black Panther movie. That's 9.
Hope not with Wesley.
No. And what else? I know I'm missing another movie. I know I'm missing something that's in some sort of production state right now, that's being worked on in some fashion.
Oh, that's not officially announced? Besides...
Oh, no, X-Men, right.
Well, that's Fox.
Right, but I'm saying just total Marvel movies, right, of course. The new X-Men, 10, right,
Yeah,
which they officially announced.
Guardians. Did you release Guardians?
Yeah, which they officially announced Days of Future Past.
Did they do Spider-Man
is
2?
X-Men. Sure, Spider-Man 2, that's already being worked on. It says 11. 11 Marvel movies compared to Superman, maybe Green Lantern 2, and eventually Justice League. 3. Fuck you, DC. Get your shit together. This is ridiculous. 3. And 2 maybes.
Yeah.
What is wrong, Warner Brothers?
And the funny thing is, they would have a lot easier getting things cleared over at WB.
They own their own company.
Yeah, they really should just be a couple of dudes going, all right, let's do this.
They could greenlight them all tomorrow if they wanted to.
Yeah, they could.
What is wrong with you?
Maybe they're just holding out. Maybe they're just going to freaking flash
who
you
did
with all of them at once.
Was it MGM that did Swamp Thing back in the day?
Who knows?
Have the rights reverted? Is that why they can't do a Swamp Thing movie?
No, here's my thing, though. I sometimes wonder, like, why couldn't they just hire the actors? Like, I would have loved the Avengers if they just hired, like, Andrew Garfield to be Peter in there, but don't call him Peter. Just have him be a photographer. Just have him be in there. I mean, then it's like a cinematic universe without crossing any, Well, I'm sure lawyers would have something to say at it.
Yeah.
But, hire the actor to be in there. He doesn't have to be Spider-Man. He doesn't have to be Peter Parker. But you could assume he's Peter Parker. It would be nice.
You know what they should do? Suicide Squad movie.
Again, it's been talked about, but I don't know.
Because aren't they... What's the thing with Booster Gold?
That's a TV show.
TV show?
See, when it comes to Warner Brothers, I guess the thing that scares the crap out of me is how much money they've probably spent just talking about making a Wonder Woman movie, how much money they spent talking about making a Flash
not even
movie.
talking about it, just developing Wonder Woman. Mr. Josh Whedon was attached to Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
I know, and
not that I wanted to see that one.
Warner
I'm sorry,
Brothers
Josh.
has so much fun just spending money talking about stuff and never getting it fully into production.
Well, you can't blame them after the horrible Superman with Nick Cage and Tim Burton with the really funny neon clothing and long hair and
But that's their own fault for not talking with the right people.
So is it safe to say that Joel Mortney on Schumacher ruined the Batman movies forever?
Joel Schumacher?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a given.
Well, I ruined those movies, but
ruin. But put such a bad taste.
They did put out 3 good Batman movies recently. I don't know if you remember those, but
the ones that Nolan said "F you" to the studio and said, "Let me make these movies."
To give Schumacher props, he does make good movies.
Sure.
They just weren't Batman ones.
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap up here. Yes. Thank you for everyone that wrote in, and next week, got to read those top lists. So Dark Knight's on a lot of them. No surprise there.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is on some of them.
That's Toby's list.
Fuck you. It's fucking awesome. I'll watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles any day. Well, actually, no, not any day. But I'll watch him more times than I will the Avengers. I probably already... I'm
sure you have.
Not
You have
fair
already.
right now. Yeah, it just came out, but yeah.
All right.
Fine, 20 years from now, I will still have seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles way more times than I've seen the Avengers.
If you guys want to send us in...
As long as you have the Avengers open by then.
Oh, well.
If you guys want to send us in your list of top
Just
5
to
comic
watch
book movies that we talked about a few weeks ago, we'll actually try to read those next week for a bunch of people. I will. We had too much stuff to talk about today.
Turtles is fucking cool, Brock.
You can go on the forums, which is...
Let's start a fiber Brock outside here, dude.
You can go on the forums, there's just forums at geekbox.net, and you can give us your list, or you can talk about... You can respond to all the crazy crap we talked about today and go on our other forums, talk about movies and TV shows and video games and all sorts of other cool stuff.
There's a whole community of people you can talk to.
There is.
In a box.
You can go to comicsconspiracy.biz, which is the website for the store, and you can go buy some digital comics from our great digital website with Comixology, which is digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. I feel a lot of people buying stuff on there. They had a great Nova sale a couple days ago, 99 cents per issue.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Great book.
Ryan was in heaven.
Yeah. Well, I didn't buy them. But,
I didn't buy them.
I
I saw your post. I was like, retweet.
I have them all. I told people to go buy them.
I had all of my Amanda Connor Power Girls, and when they went on sale, I bought them just to support it.
There you go.
See, I'm just too busy going. So I got the Nova oversized hardcover volume 1.
That they never finished.
Did a number 2.
Nope.
And I would be willing to bet you they're going to fucking put out an omnibus before they put out a volume fucking 2.
And a Guardians of the Galaxy.
And of course, it will do it right after you have decided to go bind it yourself.
Yes. What else we got? We got Comics in Decline. That's Omar's site. Omar, who I think we talked about last week, hurt himself.
He hurt himself. He has, a week in crutches. Man.
2 months.
Is it 2 months?
That's what he tweeted. That's what he texted me. 2 months in crutches.
Jesus.
So hopefully he's back next week.
I'm going to start calling him Mr. Gimp.
Nah, that's how hard he karaoke's, man.
Yeah.
He just that
No, I think that's how hard he drinks.
No. That's how hard he karaoke's, man.
Don't forget
full contact sport when he does it.
Don't forget conspiratorbrock.com. That's Brock's blog, and you go read his stuff.
Get well, man.
Insanity and Chaos. That's Charlie's Twitter if you want to know that already. But the Infinite Longbox.
Yes.
As well as Jordan, who wrote in asking us some wonderful questions earlier. Jordan, you're a funny guy.
Yeah.
Funny guy, Jordan. Funny guy. Fedgley. Why was I saying Fedgley? I was throwing in a J in there somewhere.
We can't pronounce things.
I was throwing. Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm sorry. I pronounce everyone's name. I'm surprised I know how to pronounce his first name. And we are all on Twitter. Insanity and Chaos is Charlie, as I mentioned earlier. Toby XI is Toby.
Hello.
Comics and Decline is Omar. Go send him some get well wishes.
Yes.
Brock Sager is Brock Sager.
Yep.
And Ryan Higgins Ryan. That's myself. So go on that.
Is it?
It is.
All right.
That fucking Ryan Higgins. Like, some guys have, like, just account forever, and he never uses it, and I can't get it. It's killing me. One of these days.
Douche.
Maybe one of these days I'll get it. But I think that's it. We'll talk to everyone next week.